Welcome to my channel and to this video that's easy to make yet so difficult. Trying to sum up a year in reading is a mix between the books that you'll never forget, the books that you liked reading but probably won't read again, and the books that you just forgot you'd read. But let's try to dig into my past and see what books I really enjoyed in 2023. I thought I'd do this somewhat in an order, ending up with the books I liked the most towards the end, so if you're a regular here on the channel you already know what book is going to win this thing. But let's kick it off with Sally Rooney and Beautiful World, Where Are You? I feel like this was sort of the sequel to Normal People. The people are a bit older, but they're still struggling with their relationships. And I don't know, I just feel like Sally Rooney knows what's going on. There are a few authors that feel so relatable to me, and now I only have conversations with friends left. The next one is Herar by G Sharif. It's about a 15-year-old boy growing up in Oslo. He has Pakistani parents, and one summer he gets a visit from his uncle from Pakistan and he shows him around in Oslo. I guess that through making fun of his uncle, he brings up a lot of serious topics and plays around with them, making them fun. I think this is a breath of fresh air. It's not what I expected, at least. Early in the book he also writes directly to us as a reader, writing something like, "I'm writing this book because Norwegians like us oppressed people writing stuff being like a diamond that doesn't shine quite yet." It's really fun. Then it's time for Haruka Mukami and Norwegian Wood. I actually wrote a lot of good things about this earlier last year, but then after a while I thought I didn't like it quite as much. So this is what complicates things when making these lists, but I truly think it belongs here. It's about this couple and how they deal with the loss of a mutual friend, and I do think that this book represents most of the things I love about Murakami. He has this mood that he establishes, so this is set in the 60s, and I just felt like I was a part of the 60s. The characters are a bit complex, or they feel complex. They do not have to be difficult to understand, but you're always wondering if there is more to them than you can actually read about, which makes it all interesting, and also still mixed in with a lot of music references, so what is not to love? Then let's jump to The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. This has about 5 million ratings on Goodreads, so I guess I'm not the only one that has read it, and also not the only one that loved it. It's about these two teens that both have cancer, and the whole novel is about them being a bit weird and kind to each other. So it's meant to melt your heart, and it really did. Also, this is sort of a novel that's very predictable, yet not all parts of it is 100% predictable. At least when I picked it up, I expected to be heartbroken, and I was, but I also became really happy and positive towards humanity, so I need that sometimes. Then let's go to Hverdag skal være så modige by Brynjulf Young-Chun. This is about a young boy that is neglected by his mother and has to take care of her. So this makes me sort of lose my faith in humanity, but it's heartbreaking and beautiful. And I think the thing that struck me the most is how brilliantly the author recreates the mind of a young boy, because it sort of brought me back to my own childhood reading this. I felt like when I read about this boy, I thought like, these are thoughts that I haven't thought about in a long time, but yes, that might be how it is. One example of this can be how a young boy might choose direction to go in. So if he's just going home from school, how he might be easily distracted and like choosing his path based on instinct, I guess. It was just truly fascinating, and I cried a lot. Then it's Tonje Glimmerdal, or Astrid the Unstoppable as it's called in English, by Maria Parr. It's about this young girl living in this valley. She's the only child living there. Her best friend is an old man with a secret past, and also a mean old man who owns the camping ground. But the main theme is how she discovers the past of this best friend, and this shocks her. I think this goes under the category of middle grade, and I was just really touched. Often what is the deciding factor for me whether I like or dislike a children's novel is how it deals with the serious topics. So some children's novels just talks about the serious topics as something silly, but this one handles them in a different way. It feels like they're talking to the children and the grown-ups at the same time, and I just found it to be a powerful tool to affect my emotions. A lot of words, but I do really recommend this if you're interested in middle grade books. Then over to something different and a book I forgot I read last year, and it's The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman, a part of the Thursday Murder Club series. I read the first book in the series 2 years ago. That ended up on my top 10 list, I guess, and this also deserves a spot. It's about older people living in a retirement village in Britain solving unsolved crimes. I loved the characters in the first one, I love them even more now, and I guess hopefully I will love them even more in the next one, because I will continue to read this series. I guess the reason why I forgot I read it is because it's easily read, it's entertaining, it's funny, and time flies by when you're in it, but other than that, it's not meant for you to sit down and reflect. So I guess that's why. Then let's go into the top 3, and we'll start out with Is Duan by Helga Flatland. This is her debut trilogy about 3 young men from a small village here in Norway traveling to Afghanistan, being killed, and then people mourning their loss. And there are 3 books, as I said, and for each book you have different people, but they all know each other. It just discusses the loss in so many different ways and how it might affect different kinds of people totally differently, and just fascinating. I went through these 3 books, they're all quite short, in like a day or 2, and it just maybe the biggest surprise of this year, because I read one Helga Flatland novel earlier this year that I didn't enjoy that much, but this just hit me in all the places. Since it's about 12 people discussing how they feel about loss, you're bound to be hit by some of them, I guess. This is one of those books that when I finished reading it, I knew instantly that this was going to be one of my favorite novels for this year. At number 2, we also have a book I forgot I read, and that's A Man Called Ove by Fredrik Backman. The reason is probably that I watched the movie a bunch of times, then decided to read the book and see what is the difference. And of course I ended up loving the book as well. Fredrik Backman is one of my favorite authors, and well, this is his most famous book, and maybe there's a reason for it. It's about this grumpy old man that suddenly ends up helping a lot of people without him wanting to, and it makes us all happy. It's like with every other Backman novel, it touches all my heartstrings at once, and it's impossible not to love all the characters. Whether they're mean or happy or sad or whatever, they're just likable, all of them. Sometimes when I read Backman books, I sort of imagine that Fredrik Backman must be a monster of some kind, because being that good at toying with people's emotions, who knows? You probably guessed it, my favorite read last year was 1Q84 by Haruka Murakami. I said that Helga Flatland was a surprise. This was also a surprise. I liked Murakami from before, but I didn't know that I could love a book this much. I'm not going to try to explain what this novel is about. Let's just say that there are parallel universes. The characters are special. They're not like everyone else. He has this amazing ability to make up a universe where I don't feel at home at the same time as I feel like this is a place I should be. I struggle to pinpoint exactly what I liked about it, but I liked it all. There's nothing about these books that I didn't enjoy. I feel like I'm just fanboying at this point, but there's something about how he makes something that I find complex to be quite comprehensive. So it's not like I feel lost when reading it. And that's a feeling I often get when reading books, that I feel like I don't know where this is going, but I'm enjoying it, and I believe I will get my answers towards the end. I can sometimes or often doubt myself when reading things that I find complex, and he just helps me a lot. So that will probably be my all-time favorite novel for some time. Also, when I finished reading it, I wanted to reread it at once. That's a feeling I've never had. Often when I finish books, I'm just finished with them, but that one just made me want to start all over again, to try to see if things became clearer or if I just enjoyed it as much as I did the first time. So these were my favorite fictions for 2023. I believe I will make a list of my favorite nonfiction, so stay tuned for that one. Thank you for watching my video, and if I forgot to say this in the beginning, Happy New Year, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!